Why, hello, everyone listening out in internet land, the non space, the void, the electronic consciousness that is internet.
You know he's in a mood because he's getting deep here.
Yes. We have returned to Ishi's Great Big Alien Show, the show where I've taken off the human suit. I stop pretending to be a skeptic. I stop pretending that I don't believe in any of this stuff, that I have a explanation for all these things that are rational and down to earth and scientific, and I just admit it's all fucking real. And that's where we are tonight. Is I'm out of the, you were talking to Ishi the gray alien, not the one feigning to be human, even though he does a rotten job of it. So tonight we'll be talking with Kat here,
the night editor. Good evening, everyone. And I think with that intro, we need a theremin.
You've mentioned that before.
Well, I mention it again. We need a theremin, goddammit.
And the Mad Magician is here. Kronk's here. Wolf's here. Hey, everybody's here. Good.
Wonderful.
We got the gang all here. Now all we need is Chicken Sith, if he's not already here, and Eric. So anyway.
You know, I'm looking at that wonderful graphic that you've got for your big alien show and thinking how much cooler it would be if you were sitting on my lap.
Well, I tried my best with this graphic. I mean, I have to commission some art. I would love it if it was that. I tried. I did try to modify this image I found. So maybe I'll hire someone to eventually make us some artwork.
I think that'd be cool.
We'll see what's in the
Or I could have you sitting on my shoulder. Like doing the one hand lift, like Barda.
I could be sitting on your knockers.
No, that would not be a good thing. Well, you wouldn't see my face, and your ass would be right there.
So tonight we're talking about evil children. Evil children. Now, granted, most children are evil, but we're talking specifically the urban legend of the black-eyed children.
Well, considering, one of the nicknames for your kind is kids, I definitely think that that's appropriate. But before we get into that...
I don't think most... Oh, okay. We'll get into that.
No. What were you going to say?
Well, for the listeners out there who do not know, within the Air Force and MJ-12 sector, who deal with aliens, my kind, the Greys, are referred to as a code name, the kids. How very creative, I know.
As evidenced in the anime Lane.
Well, that got referenced in Lane, yeah. But yeah, the kids.
But what I was going to say is, before we get into evil Damien children...
we're going to read a UFO story from one of the listeners?
No, actually, but you are correct that it is from the listeners. They have questions for you.
Do they now?
Yes, they do. And I thank you all for sending us questions. If you have more, definitely shoot them out in the chat or send them to us through
send them to
Twitter.
us and we'll read them at the beginning.
Yeah. But yes, I have a few questions for you from our listeners. The first one is from Owen.
Is it about Guyver?
Strangely enough, it is not about Guyver. It is.
Then it really isn't from Owen. This is a prank, isn't it?
Oh. No. I think Owen has a very good question to ask. He wants to know if Greys have ears or antennae.
Not as such. Antennae, no. I mean, there has been theories that our large craniums act as a resonance antenna for telepathy, although I don't buy that. I think it's just for our enormous brain. But as for ears, except for the EBE version type 1. Now, you realize my species has many, just like you, many ethnicities with their own skull shapes and skin colors. And, some are taller, some are different, different eye shapes. So believe it or not, there are Greys with button eyes. No, seriously, they're the rarest.
Are they cute? Are they kawaii?
They're the rarest of them, but yes, there are Greys with round black eyes and stuff.
The rare kawaii Grey. It's like Pokemon.
And there are even Greys who are actually tall, and by tall I mean 5 feet.
Tall for Greys.
But aside from the first encounter with humanity at Roswell, the grays that were found there were the most humanoid looking. They actually were more flesh colored and did have ears and humanoid eyes, but they're a rarity. They're kind of a minority of my kind. The vast majority of us, we don't have ears anymore. We've just got oral cavities with a thin layer of flesh grown over it. They don't work very well.
What, like, so you can play it like a drum?
Well, the sound resonates over the layer of flesh, and then you can hear sound. I mean, it's just, look, we're a species that developed telepathy, so, you know.
Well, now that asks questions. I mean, so it sounds like your eardrum is now on the outside of your head. So
no, there's still an oral cavity. It just there's a thin layer of flesh blown over it.
Oh, so you permanently sound like you're underwater, or how we perceive that.
How would I know?
Right. Well, you can read minds. Does that ever come up in a mental conversation?
Reading minds. I mean, it's not actually experiencing things.
Okay. Next time we get in the jacuzzi, I'll have to go underwater, and then you can see if that's how it sounds like to you.
You know, I could say so many wrong things right now, and I won't. About you being underwater in a jacuzzi with me.
What wrong could there be? It'd be perfectly innocent. Okay.
My girlfriend was trying to do that when we were driving. That was a horrible, horrible idea.
Go underwater with you?
Go down there.
Go underwater.
Okay, anyway.
Robert 4242. Is that front 242? That'd be very cool. Robert says, did the Greys invent AIDS?
What? No. What the fuck would you even ask that? What the fuck?
I'm kind of confused. I don't know if that's a serious question or not. Because the thing is that is a legitimate question to ask.
It isn't. Why the fuck would we do that?
Well, the reptoids apparently have done shit.
No, we did not invent AIDS. Jesus Christ. Okay, anyway.
It is a question inquiring minds wanted to know. And you are here to give us the straight truth. So
I don't even know why the fuck you'd ask that.
Because he was curious. Or at least curious how you would answer. Okay. Labu girl, why do you guys only abduct rednecks and sci-fi writers?
That is a total myth. That is totally not true. Actually, rednecks are
also drug addicts too.
Rednecks are a rarity. Actually, Travis Walton was that's where that came from. Is the Travis Walton case? Suddenly, everyone had the impression that it was, Hicks out in the woods were always the ones getting abducted, strictly because of that case. The vast majority of people who say that we've abducted them, and mostly this is true, are actually city dwellers or people who live in the suburbs. They're usually white, middle class, and 60% of them, I believe, are women, usually employed and single.
Really?
Yes, and childless.
I was about to ask how close to menopause were they?
Late 20s, early 30s.
Okay, so definitely past Christmas cake, but not quite past their expiration date.
And then usually men in, I think, after the age of 25. But that's more like, I think, 40%.
So, like...
And primarily, we only abduct Caucasians and Japanese people, apparently.
Really?
You look at the reports, it's very rare for any other ethnicity to be abducted by Greys. I don't know why we do that.
Okay.
Hey, it's not my job. I don't make this decision. I'm an infiltrator. I haven't abducted anyone in a long-ass time.
You abducted people before me?
Yeah. Remember I told you about Walter?
Yeah, okay.
We were out on an abduction in Mexico, and Walter ran off and thought he would be a coyote.
True. Very true.
I was one of the team that nabbed the person. Strangely enough, it was a white person living in Mexico. So there you go.
White people in Mexico.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Actually, you'd be shocked how many Mexicans are pale and blonde.
No, I wasn't. A fraction of my family came from Mexico, so.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Completely slipped my mind.
Well, you've seen pictures of my grandfather.
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, I showed you. I brought home a picture.
Slipped my mind.
I'll show you. Like, he's the one who looks like he's Amish.
Well, there you go. See, yeah, yeah. It's kind of weird that people think that all Mexicans fit a certain stereotype, which is really kind of no. That's actually a very, very wide range of people. No, seriously.
No, I know you're serious.
But anyway. So no. Why? As for sci-fi writers, why not? Who else would be better to tell our story?
Oh, it's more for propaganda, and not because who would believe them?
No, well, what? That's a bad idea. Nobody believe them? People don't believe sci-fi writers on your world?
They don't believe them for reporting factual things. No.
Oh, fuck.
Well, look, come on. You've read Philip K. Dick.
No, he thought an alien god was talking to him. He wasn't abducted.
Same thing.
He thought the Black Knight satellite was beaming messages into his brain. He called it what was it, Ubik?
Yeah, but people treat his tales of that the same that people treat abduction stories.
Look, don't blame us for L. Ron Hubbard, okay? We had nothing to do with that guy, and if you think he's a writer, you're wrong.
What about Whitley?
Well, I thought he did a really accurate job.
Well, yeah.
He did a great job of portraying the reality. I think that was the best book ever written about my kind.
Yeah, but people think he's in that job now.
The stuff after that, when he lost his mind, wasn't so good. But that first book nailed it. I mean, that was really honest.
But people don't treat it as fact.
You're shitting me.
No.
You know, I think...
you saw the movie with Christopher Walken, right?
I thought it was a parody.
No, that's supposed to be a, quote, accurate depiction.
You know, my superiors are going to be so goddamn pissed.
Your superiors suck at intel. Who the hell was on that job? Was it Walter? Was it Walter's brother?
Maybe.
Shit, your superiors are going to be pissed, not just at that, but at their intel. Fuck. Maybe it's a good thing you have gone native.
So should we abduct, I don't know, fantasy writers instead, or I don't know. How about that woman who wrote the 50 Shades of Grey book?
She did do an alien story. No, not her. I take that back. No, the Stephanie Meyers did an alien story.
Yeah, it was kind of a bizarre reptoid sort of thing, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it didn't sell well either.
They didn't sparkle.
No, they did not sparkle. People want to fuck the lizard, but not in that way.
You know, Mad Ginger says, fuck L. Ron Hubbard. I could do an entire show on that guy. Trust me. The entertainment value about the truth of Hubbard is incredible.
Dianetics.
I mean, he was a Condor Scout. Did you know that? They made a rank for him.
Ow. A condor. He's a condor.
You know that he didn't even bother with second drafts. He only had first drafts, and he just put butcher paper into the typewriter and go.
I did hear about that.
And then he'd just publish it. Right then and there. Done.
Right.
Have you ever read any of his stuff?
I
believe him. I believe that it was only one draft.
Actually, yes, I have.
I mean, he makes Ed Wood look coherent.
When I was working for Mysterious Galaxies booth at Comic-Con, we were next door to the L. Ron Hubbard booth. And
I'm sorry.
Actually, they were very polite.
Okay. Oh, is it better than when AiA was next to the gangster rap booth?
Yes, infinitely better. Actually,
where they had that loop where it was, was it brush your motherfucking teeth? Okay, quick story, completely off subject here. One year, the year before we signed with AiA, when we were trying to sign, we were making the deal to get signed with getting our book published through AiA. Now, boom. They were stationed next to this comic book that was being sponsored by Samuel L. Jackson, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
And the booth had this rap song on a loop, and it was only about 30 seconds long. And it just kept going, looping the whole time. And it was like this rap beat. And the lyrics were like, go to motherfucking school, brush your motherfucking teeth.
Yeah.
And it just went on. I was like, oh, God. By the end, I just wanted to kill everyone.
And they also had this like little animated short that went with it.
I didn't care about the short. It was the song.
No, I hated them both because I could see them. I could see the visuals like out of the corner of my eye and hear the song, and it was really distracting.
I don't know how the poor people staffing the booth managed it.
They didn't. They hated it.
The people working there?
Yeah, I went over and talked to them for a bit.
We're just being paid.
There was nobody there going to the booth, and they all had this shoot me look. And I said flat out, how are you able to keep your sanity with this thing blaring? And they said, we're not. Like, Sunday can't come soon enough.
Jeez. Okay, so we've got another question, right?
Yes, we've got one last question from you peeked on my sheet.
Yes, I did look at the sheet. That's why I didn't know if we were done with the questions or not.
No, we've got one more. It's from Samuel Aoki. And he asks, what is the deal with the crop circles, man?
I'm surprised I didn't get asked this sooner.
I did.
Okay.
I did ask.
Oh.
That was a couple of episodes ago.
Well, I suck, don't I?
Well, no, you were distracted by other more important questions.
Okay. So, there's a couple of things with the... First, naturally, when the saucers land, the magnetic pattern of the... Okay, well, long story short, the way that anti-grav works is that it's super hyper-accelerated mercury in a chamber, and it has a reverse magnetism that fucks with the gravity. And it'll actually cause the fibers in certain cellulose-based plants to bend and swirl around. That was how it kind of got started. And people were like, did a saucer land here? And we're like, if they like that, what if we really fucked with them? And then it kind of turned into graffiti, It was like, okay, well, why don't we do this? And okay, well, hey, we'll make this one look like this. And the next thing you know, they're showing up on TV and people are trying to find meaning in them. They're like, well, what if we drew like this? And we'll see what they think of this. It's like, you guys didn't know that we were drawing female gray genitalia into your crops, and everyone's trying to read the mystery into it.
I am suddenly flashing on a commercial for a 90s children's toy. And the tagline for the toy was, oh, the things I can do with my spirograph.
Exactly. And, it even got funnier when all the New Agers started going out to those cornfields and, like, grabbing bits of the corn ears and chopping them up. And
it wasn't corn.
Oh, was it corn?
It was wheat.
Oh, wheat. Yeah. No, they do it cornfields, too.
Fuck, how? I mean, is it before there's actual...
Saucer.
Well, yeah, but all the fields I've ever seen were wheat.
Early.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do it with corn, too.
Okay.
Now, look, human pranksters can do it. Clearly, we can do it, okay? Do I need to explain?
No. So why do you magnetize it?
We've got tractor beams and particle rays, okay? We don't have...
So how do you magnetize wheat?
Okay. How do we magnetize wheat? It's a secret, but it's funny.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay.
It's that simple. It's funny.
It's funny. Okay.
But no, more to the point, when we found out New Agers were chopping up the wheat and the corn and suspending it in water and selling them online, that was just more encouragement. It's like, okay. It was like, you've got that one idiot girl selling her bathwater. It was like the equivalent for us. We thought it was hilarious.
You guys get also...
And then that Shamalama Ding Dong dude made a movie about it. And of course, he gave the credit to the goddamn reptoids, but still, I mean, you're just encouraging us.
He also put that they decided to land on a planet that's mostly water and yet be allergic to the shit.
He's got issues.
He's got issues.
I think, honestly, he doesn't bathe because he's afraid of water.
You think Shyamalan is a...
Yeah, I think he's horrified of water and that he doesn't bathe. That's my theory.
That's an odd, thing to bring up. Why do you don't think that he bathes?
Because he's terrified of water. Water is always portrayed as evil.
But he did an entire film about a.
No. Bruce Willis. What foiled his superpower?
See, I didn't see that film.
That was his kryptonite. Water.
Really?
Yes.
It's moronic.
I didn't write it.
I mean, R.L. Stine did that too, and it was just as moronic. in that really, really, really terrible Goosebumps story and episode.
So just getting down to it, your questions about the crop circles, it started as, people making a big deal out of saucer spots where, we were landing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just thought it'd be funny if we started drawing alien genitalia into the crops. And it just went from there and got out of control, kind of.
Okay.
And so, like, when you see the ones where it actually is like a great big wang, or the one that's a middle finger, no, we did that. No, that's not a prank. Well, it's our prank, but we did that. That's real.
It's after you learned our imagery and
right, exactly.
Do it. It's like, well, they're not quite getting it when we do it in our language, so we're doing it in theirs. You sure it's not like trying to get a tattoo in kanji and having it translated totally wrong?
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I am actually kind of pleased to find out people are sending questions. I'll go through the chat today, and we'll take them down. And I think next time I can answer them again, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can tweet them to me or Kat, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. And or if we have time today, maybe we'll answer some of your questions. So you look like you're seeing something.
Oh, here, I'll answer this one.
Cooper Clark, Elvis was definitely an alien, right?
Elvis was the king. It's that simple.
Elvis was the king.
Yeah.
No, Elvis is not dead. He just went home.
In fact, Elvis was the real Captain Marvel. And no, unfortunately, he was not a gray. We would have liked to have had him on our team, but he had that obsession with Aztec imagery.
No.
That's kind of a giveaway on what side he was on, unfortunately.
No, okay. To clarify for those who may not know, explain what you mean by the original Captain Marvel, because unfortunately, who Marvel was is lost.
Okay, Shazam.
Oh, that Captain Marvel. Okay, I thought you meant Marvel.
Apparently, the whole weird Aztec outfit he would wear, was loosely patterned on Shazam Captain Marvel.
Really?
Yeah, and he was apparently a huge fan of the character.
Oh, holy crap. I did not know that. That's too cool.
Okay, so we've got a UFO story. We've actually got a few of them, but I wanted to read this one this time around.
Okay.
Keep sending them in. So this one's from Backward7, and I got to say, this guy sends in the best comments and questions.
Really? Why have I not seen them? Okay, did you want me to read them, or did you want to read them?
You read them.
Okay, this is from Backward7. I too have a tale of UFO sightings. It occurred one evening in July 2019. I was making my way home from town, where I had been successfully cock-blocked by the Bilderberg Group for the third time in a week.
Evil bastards.
My brain is farting. Okay. Moving on. In the sky, I observed several duck-like objects moving south in a V formation. Nearby on the ground, a group of individuals dressed in plaid shirts and ear protectors, who I later identified as plainclothes officers in President Trump's Space Force, were firing shotgun-type weapons at the craft, managing to bring down several in the process. I rushed home and immediately contacted the local police. A few days later, I received a call from a government agent who informed me that an alien vessel had released a number of weather balloons over the area at the time of my UFO sighting, and that this would be the most obvious explanation. I find this account unconvincing, as I am unlikely to be interviewed by the production team of Ancient Aliens if I accept it. Keep watching the skies unless you are driving, in which case get your passenger or a friendly hitchhiker to watch the skies on your behalf.
There you go. How can you argue with that? I mean, come on. If you cannot take true, heartfelt testimony, why would he lie?
So what does quack say in your language?
It's the onomatopoeia for a gray fart.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So you created a fleet of spaceships that look like ducks to fart. That is an elaborate fart joke.
Yes. But I mean, come on. can you refute this?
I can't disprove it.
Exactly. Like I said, Backward 7 always comes up with really, really good stories.
I agree. I agree completely.
And I'm really hoping he submitted one for our romance books because we're going to be doing that, I think, next week.
If he did, I did not receive it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we're going to actually finally read the romance novel blurbs next week that you all sent us.
Yes, and Owen, we haven't forgotten about you.
We would have done it sooner, but as you heard, it's been a rough couple of weeks.
Yes, we need happiness now. I think we all need happiness.
All right, so let's talk about evil children.
Evil children.
And not just the typical type that live next door.
The normal kind. The friendly neighborhood evil children.
Now, in the show description, I listed a few different ones, and I think we should start with the most famous.
Okay. Which is the black-eyed children?
Yes.
So, what do you know about the black-eyed children?
Well, I'm going to save my explanation of what I know about them till the end. I think this is more your area of expertise, but usually the story goes that usually a person's alone around sunset, twilight, and these children will come to a window or a door or even a car window and start begging and demanding you let them in. That they'll plead, they say they need to call their parents or they need to eat, or they'll just keep pleading for you to let them in. And they get more demanding, and then more of them and more of them keep coming. And they all have pitch black eyes.
And what is the ultimate outcome? Is it like the yokai of Japan, where if you do one thing, you get one outcome. If you do another thing, you get another?
Well, let me put it this way. Stories only come from people who've never let them in.
Okay. That's fair. That's very fair. Well, I have some information regarding that. Apparently, the first posted sighting comes out of Texas from Brian Bethel, who, let's see, what was Brian? From Brian Bethel in 96, in fact, who wrote about how he had encountered them first in Abilene, Texas. And supposedly a second person contacted him and shared that they had too out of Portland, Oregon, but that second person was never located. And Brian wrote about his story. He is credited as being one of the first creepypasta writers, in fact, known for and creating a quote modern urban legend.
So then it's absolutely real, is what you're saying.
Well, he definitely went on a TV series called Monsters and Mysteries in America in 2012 and talked about his encounters with them. And that is also the same year that a crowdfunding Kickstarter movie was created.
So what theory do you ascribe to as to where these things come from?
Where I believe, well, there are many explanations that they are ghosts, that they are vampires, and that they are, in fact, extraterrestrials.
Well, sadly, I have to, The way that it works is that when a man in black loves a female gray very, very much.
He loves a tall white.
No, a female gray.
A female gray.
And when a female gray loves a man in black very, very much, they'll go to a hotel that pays by the that rents by the hour, and they'll do a thing in there. And 9 months later, a black-eyed children come out. A black-eyed child, actually. But
it's always male, human, female, gray.
Well, have you ever heard of a woman in black?
Well, no. Now we're getting into
no. They're only mibs, and mibs when they have sex.
Well, I thought that men as in humankind. Men also is a term for humanity.
So, have you ever heard of a female mib?
Well, there were several in the Men in Black films and in the cartoon.
That's a movie.
What about the cartoon? The cartoon was actually good.
That's a cartoon.
What? Well, okay. No. Now we got to get into
There are different types of MIBs, okay? There are the MIBs where they're just the original MIB, as I had said before, where the original MIB was anybody who donned the black suit and tie and sunglasses to blend into the background. The mob used to do it. It's still very much the uniform of the Secret Service and various intelligence agencies because you blend in. Your mind just kind of tells you not to look at that person. It's very strange, but it's true.
No.
That's why all the wait staff tends to wear black. They just blend into the background.
No. Now we're getting into biology here. And I have to ask, typically, MIBs are around the 6-foot range. And grays, unless I am wrong about your females, grays are just as tall as you are at 4 feet. Now, when you are breeding mules, you always breed a smaller male donkey to a larger female horse because the larger female horse can carry the baby of the pairing without killing the mother, where if you were to have a large, powerful male with a tiny female donkey, the baby may wind up killing the mother. So how does that work? Do you guys do test tube babies?
Yes.
Okay.
So the embryo would then be put into a cloning tank.
It seems kind of like a waste of effort. I mean, what is it just your people like fucking large, powerful human cocks? Is that why?
Don't you?
Well, you don't.
We don't do it out of the human suit. You always make me wear the human suit. What do you tell?
Well, that's because you don't have anything.
Look,
what are you like E.T.? Is it glow? Is it long and
I told
thin?
you mistakes were made in our breeding process. We nixed some genes that we really shouldn't have.
His human suit is well endowed, and unfortunately, I don't like the ET finger. So
you don't like telekinesis, I know.
It's weird.
So
it weirds me out. I'm not into that kind of play.
So we'll get into look. So that's the original MIBs, which is any person who donned the outfit to do questionable things or to threaten people. But over time, certain intelligence agencies and certain unnamed organizations started creating androids and clones and various hybrid creatures and put them in these black outfits and gave them old cars to harass people. And for some reason, they just have a thing for our women.
Like the Blues Brothers.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Well,
there you go. Yeah, there you go. They're in an old car.
Yeah.
They have a thing for women. Yeah.
They act strange.
Yeah, that works. So is Belushi one of yours? Is that why he's no longer with us? Or could he not fit his human suit anymore?
He had to go home.
He had to go home.
Aww. He had worn out his welcome on Earth. He had to go home.
Oh, like Andy Kaufman.
No comment.
No comment.
He probably really was an alien.
Was Andy like Walter?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So that's my explanation. Is that those weirdo clone hybrid android MIBs have sex with a gray alien female, and that's where the black-eyed children come from.
Okay. Well, I do have to say that I find it interesting.
It's a terrible idea.
That there are actually no concrete sightings of black-eyed children. It's always a friend of a friend stories.
So the next one I want to get to.
No comment on that.
No, I don't want to go any further.
Yeah. So what do you want to get into?
Well, because Melon Heads will take a while, I thought we'd quickly go to Tofu Kozo.
Tofu Kozo.
Who is essentially Tofu Boy. He is a yokai, and he's a little tiny boy dressed in traditional Japanese garb. And he's seen usually, again, at sunset or early in the evening, walking. He comes out of nowhere, walking very slowly, with a delicious cube of tofu with a maple leaf on it. And when he approaches someone,
Is this like the tofu of purity?
The person is compelled to eat it. They just can't help it. It looks so good. They have to eat the tofu. Now, results may vary, but sometimes the tofu tastes wonderful and the person goes on their way. Sometimes the tofu turns into a fungus inside the person's belly and starts to grow out of them and consume them and drain their life until they die.
Dude, it's like Ein from Doro Hedoro.
And that's it.
And that's it. Well, yeah, isn't it more often than not he's actually a benevolent yokai? I mean, he's
It's
actually...
a 50-50.
It's a 50-50 chance. But...
Yeah, and nobody really knows if it's just he's going to serve you the good tofu or the bad tofu.
That's an interesting one. How old is the legend?
Let me see. I shouldn't have closed the book. First reported sighting. Oh, I can't get a date, but
does it say if he is also specific to a particular prefecture or area, or if
it can be traced back to 1868.
Oh, interesting.
And it's all over Japan.
All over Japan.
Like I said, I'm not an expert on this. It's just I found this one kind of an interesting legend of an evil child.
No, well, he's not really evil, though. I mean, the fact that he feeds you, it's just you may also get a mushroom in your tummy.
That kills you.
Well, yeah, but it's a 50-50 chance. At least you got a fighting chance.
And the traditional art, strangely, he has these weird two-toed hooked feet.
Now, that's interesting.
Which makes it clear that he's not human.
Yeah.
And he's almost got kind of a dwarf proportions.
Mm-hmm. Is it also... now, I see in these images that he has the huge melon head, as it were.
Yeah, that's why I think he might actually supposed to be more of a dwarf, because he has an adult-sized head on kind of a disproportionate small body.
Yeah. Very interesting. Are there any encounters with him in, post-war times?
Well, supposedly he's still sighted to this day, but I don't see anything in here. I mean, I didn't get to do a lot of research. I knew about the legend and I thought I'd bring it up.
No, excuse me. Sorry. No, it's a good thing to bring up. Definitely.
And so we can see kind of these ideas. There's similarities, though. It's at sunset. Mm-hmm. This random kid comes up to you and can have dire consequences. And clearly it's playing on the idea of the child looks innocent, but is it?
On the other hand, I've noticed that is a reoccurring theme with a lot of Japanese yokai, is that it is somebody that you meet perchance on the road, if not at sunset, definitely at night, and they offer you something, whether it's a question or an actual tangible thing. Ricky Joa, Tofu Boy still seems better company than a soy boy. I agree. I definitely agree. At least you get delicious tofu out of it.
All right. I also thought, since we're bringing up evil children, probably one of the legends that sourced a lot of these, the story of the Changeling, which at least can be traced back to the Celts, if not earlier. The idea is that the Fae would steal away a child and replace it with one of its own. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the kid's evil and causes problems, and other times the child forgets that it's a Fae and grows up and has weird abilities and doesn't know why.
Actually, for those of you who know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, in going back to Japan again, the legend of the Tengu is the same.
Really?
Where the Tengu will replace a child in its cradle with one of their own.
But of course, you know what the real story behind changelings are.
What?
Hybrids and infiltrators.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Your people or
Yes, my people.
Your people.
We're kind of bastards that way.
So you abduct children where the lizards just take on somebody else's skin.
They eat them and replace them, yeah.
Yeah. Man, you all are bastards.
Well, kind of.
What do you do with the kids then?
Well,
And that's not your department.
not my department. Well, actually, they raise them.
What? You get? Is that where indigo children come from?
No, those are just retarded children. No. Though they wait for them to grow. They raise them into gray culture. Humans raised as grays, and then they essentially start providing genetic material for us so that we can round out our DNA that we've fucked up.
You guys are sick.
Well, what? You just, look, when a boy hits about, 12, 13 years old, he's going to give you as many genetic samples as you want.
Well, no, it's the fact that you just keep them as breeding stock. It's basically
No,
a zoo.
No, that they get to hang out, watch TV, video games.
How's that any different than a zoo that just has a lot of neat toys?
You mean like what we do with the rats?
Yes.
No comment.
Well, like in at least in Childhood's End, when you had the one surviving human who was taken to the homeworld of the Baphomet people, they kept him around and told him, okay, you've got free reign of our entire planet. You can go wherever you want.
What? But the kids can run around the saucer.
But that's a saucer. It's not an entire planet. And it's more, he left and wanted to go back to his dead planet because he had the option of going back to his dead planet because he didn't like the fact that everybody there pitied him and kind of treated him like a pet. Underworld Dream. Was Michael Jackson a fae or an alien?
Well, I don't think he was a fae, and he definitely wasn't one of us. I don't think he was a lizard. If I had my guess, and I'm just guessing here, I think he was a ghoul.
He was a ghoul?
I don't know how they killed him, but they eventually did. I think he was a ghoul, and he just couldn't die, and he just kept having to replace parts that were rotting off.
Not all ghouls are undead.
Huh?
You said you think that he's a ghoul.
Yeah. Well, look, ghouls are undead. Ghouls are corpses that didn't die that need to eat other corpses to stay alive.
Not necessarily. That's only some of the legends.
Okay, Mrs. Expert, let's hear this then.
Some of them are, they are humans that just didn't develop properly. They're like a kernel, like a popcorn that popped differently, and they don't age properly, and but they do have a taste for human flesh, but they didn't die first. It all depends on what legend you're going off of. It's the same thing with like which legend of vampires are you going off of?
All right, I can see it. Well, so then, would you say that melon heads count?
What is ghouls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, get into melon heads then. You said that's one of your favorites, right?
They are. I wouldn't call them one of my favorites. They're just one that I'm more fascinated by, because of. Now, here's the thing.
Well, there's a lot of corroborating evidence for this one, right?
Well, see, that's the thing that gets me is when I first was looking into melon heads, I was finding all of this evidence saying, corroborating evidence saying that the melon heads were real. And now this was in the early days of the internet. Now, yes, don't believe everything that you read on the internet. Yes, I know that. But please understand. I was in high school in the early days of the internet. And, you go to places like Wikipedia. These were times where people actually believed what they found on Wikipedia because it was the internet encyclopedia. Of course it wouldn't lie. And whoever put together the thing about the melon heads at the time put together quite an elaborate collection of evidence, and then there were websites that corroborated to it. And and lately they've gone through and they purged it all, and they've said no. A lot of what was thought to be real, people have gone back through on records and found that there's no evidence for a lot of it. So for some of it, so God only knows. But the legend of the Melon Heads, Melon Heads are from 4 different locations on the internet. Let me pull them up, because I have information in front of me.
Okay, I'm going to hold the mic over here so they can hear you.
Okay, so Melon Heads come from largely Michigan, Ohio, North Carolina, and Connecticut. For those of you who are from these places or you have your own stories about Melon Heads, please go ahead and make your comments in the comment section. In fact, go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, or share how you heard the stories yourselves. But Melon Heads primarily are supposed to be small humanoids with bulbous heads, often depicted or described as being hydrocephalic, who would emerge out of the woods and attack people. That is the thing that is most common out of all of the sightings. Many people said that they were children who had been put in an insane asylum to be institutionalized. And then when the asylum either burned down or was destroyed, were released out into the wild. Other people said that they were hillbillies who were so inbred they all were hydrocephalic. But the reoccurring thing is that they live in the woods and that they have these hydrocephalic heads and that they attack people. Supposedly, in many different places, there were records of an older house that had children, or that was a foster care place, or that there was an insane asylum. Many places where they said that there wasn't, where they said that there was, they found out later that there wasn't. But there are some places, I believe in Connecticut, where there were asylums in that area that had been condemned at the time period, and so people largely believe that it is true. Who knows? But yes, I would consider them ghouls or some other strange creatures, especially since they seem to only attack humans.
They only attack humans?
So, according to the stories, yes.
So what do you think?
What do I think? I would not discount the idea that they are vagrants, or that they were children who had see, that's the thing. It's the fact that they are all hydrocephalic, and it's very specific that they are described as being hydrocephalic. So I really wouldn't doubt it if they had been hydrocephalic children who had been living in an institution, had been taken care of by an orphanage or a foster home, that's as we would call them, or possibly even freaks with a circus who ran away, were let loose, or decided, you know what, society hates us, we're going to go into the woods, and went mad. I really wouldn't doubt it. And that just all you need is one attack, just one. And it doesn't matter where that attack was. All you need is just one for the story to spread, which would also account for the fact that each township has their own variation of the stories throughout these 4 states. Is that each one changes. That's why I'm keeping it somewhat vague, is because there are a lot of differences, but those are the things that are similar through all of them.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I tried to find another one, and I cannot find it anymore, but there was something about an urban legend of, I think it's off the coast of Illinois, where there was a facility that did chemical warfare testing, and the claim was that something had escaped there, and there were these weird deformed kids living in the sewers or something. And I tried to find that one, and I couldn't. So
it does sound familiar, but Yeah, I haven't been able to find that one either. I do recall reading something to that effect, though.
All right. Well, should we go through the comments?
Let me see. Do I have everything here? Yes. I'm saving the story for when we do ghosts. So
Oh, that'll be fun.
yeah, I loves me ghosts.
Okay. Well, let's see. We've got plenty of comments that black-eyed children are what happens when the kid doesn't shut up.
Okay. They're throwing some blue for good measure. When a blue eye is not black. Elton, what do you know about the shenanigans in Sherman Skinwalker Ranch? Was that one of your cousins? Were people making black-eyed brats, aka BEBs, in there?
That's pretty good. I was going to do an episode on Skinwalker Ranch, so why don't we save that till then? Because I want to do a whole episode on that.
I like Skywalker Ranch.
No. It's
Yana Galanchi?
well, that's what it's named after. Yeah, but
Is it really?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I thought you meant the movie there for a second.
Oh no, the legend.
Oh, okay.
But it has nothing to do with Indian werewolves.
So it's not terrible.
But no, I think that one's worth a whole episode. Just like the, I want to do an entire episode on that guy in New York that claims that he is he's raised an entire family in space with a gray alien woman, and he's done hundreds and hundreds of paintings about it.
That story is so tragic.
I mean, that story is bizarre as all hell.
It's bizarre as all hell, but it's really tragic.
It is.
Yeah, that does deserve its own
and
episode.
That one needs some preparation because I have to do slides so people can see this artwork because this is incredible.
I'm gonna do a PowerPoint.
Kinda. I mean, the art. Well, you can put slides up here. So I mean, the artwork that he's created, showing this elaborate family he's spawned in space, is just amazing.
Yeah, you need to do that. God, I'm yawning so much.
Well, you're still jet lagged.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Cooper Clark. I'll have you know I'm a black-eyed child, and my parents didn't conceive me in a hotel. It was in a black ops MIB holding cell. Suggesting that all of us are hotel babies is so grapephobic.
Well, we are known to be a bit elitist and think we're better than everyone else. I mean, what can I say? Guilty as charged. We're assholes.
I'm suddenly reminded of the one of the opening bits in Ghostbusters 2, where you have the chick talking about her alien abduction story. Do you remember that?
Yes, and that was actually based on stuff that, yeah.
For those of you who may not be familiar with Ghostbusters 2,
the rant she rattled off,
mm-hmm.
I honestly think was a parody of some of the women that ufologist Bud Hopkins and psychologist I think it was John Mack
mm-hmm.
From Harvard ended up putting through post-hypnotic regression and trundling out as evidence, because some of those women were clearly just damaged cat ladies who really, really needed to get some.
So
no, seriously, the whole thing about those two. The sad thing is that John Mack is legit. He Pulitzer Prize journalist, won all these awards, legit psychotherapist, and he got drawn in by Bud Hopkins. And Bud Hopkins, he's a true believer. He wanted to find the next Hill case, Betty and Barney Hill.
Bud's the one who would hang out by the air base, right?
No,
okay.
No. You're thinking of
Benowitz. No.
Benowitz, yeah.
Benowitz.
Now, Bud Hopkins is a ufologist, and the thing is his research quickly descended into him finding lots of lonely old cat ladies who needed a man in their life. And there are a lot of accusations that those women became his groupies.
Really?
Now, I don't really know if that's bragging rights that your entire groupie horde or
Hero?
groupie harem are all women in their 40s who never had kids.
Oh, are they MILFs?
No.
No, that's not bragging rights.
But that woman in Ghostbusters 2, I swear that's a parody of one of those women.
Wow.
Do you want to,
Yeah.
for the audience who might not have seen?
Yes, for those of you who might not have seen or who it's been an awful long time. At the beginning of Ghostbusters 2, Venkman has his own talk show, World of the Psychic, where he interviews paranormal experts and people who have had encounters. And one of his guests was this woman who claimed that she was at, I think it was the Hilton in New York, and that a man came up, bought her a drink, invited her up into his room, and she says that he used a ray or a mind control device and told her about the end of the world. And when he asked, so the alien checked out a room at the Hilton just to tell you about the end of the world? And she goes, I think it might have been a room in his spacecraft.
Well, no, the thing is those are all key elements of stuff a lot of these women said. Seriously.
Well, that also goes back to a conversation we were previously having, and I think we brought it up here on the show. Is how many of these women went on to say that they felt fulfilled because they knew that their space babies were out there?
Yeah. But see, that would require me to put my human suit back on and pretend I'm a skeptic to talk about that.
Ah, okay.
We're talking about stuff that's absolutely real right now.
That is a good answer, considering you said that you abducted some. I am not a jealous person. I like to tease him. Anime acid trip. The one Jewish girl who got abducted by that one ship shaped like a smiley face.
If you're serious, I want to know this story.
There's a ship shaped. Oh,
I said that primarily abduction victims or people abductees are primarily, I think, 60 to 70% female, white female, from their 30s to 40 into their 40s primarily.
Mm-hmm.
And that most abductees are either Caucasian or, if they're not Caucasian, it's in Japan. No other Asian country.
Not in China?
Zilch.
Really? That
None.
I'm shocked at.
But yeah, you get plenty of people in Israel who make the same claim. I just figured that that's considered white, right?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it shows what I know.
They're Jewish.
Oh, okay. I just figured. No, yeah. Okay, I guess.
If you're going by pigmentation, yeah, but
I'm a stupid gray who doesn't quite understand humans. What do I know?
Well, it'd be like, how your own people have different shades.
Yeah, so if you were to actually talk nationality,
Mhm.
I was thinking pigmentation. Yeah, nationality is real. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely has their share. Europe, once you get outside of England, not so much. Their stories tend to be more about Nordics and reptiles.
And Faye.
And this whole thing called, I think, Umo. We'll do a show about that. It's really weird.
Okay.
Frankly, I think that was a intelligence agency op.
Really?
Yeah, I do. What
about Russia?
Russia is terrified of aliens and UFOs and shoot at anything that they think is a UFO. No, seriously.
No, I know.
We're not welcome there. We are absolutely not welcome there. We'll tell a story, okay? In Roswell, 1947, we crashed a ship just to see what you guys would do. 2 of the bodies were clones. They were empty vessels. They were already dead. And then one little guy volunteered to be, essentially the deep cover agent who'd go in and...
That's EB, right?
Yeah, EBE-1 was going to go in. And, well, the test was, how would they treat... how would the Americans treat a face-to-face encounter with a living, breathing alien? And fortunately for your country, what happened? They grabbed the one living one and rushed him to the hospital and tried to patch him up. And they mistakenly tried to revive the other one that they thought was alive, and it wasn't. You guys passed the test. That's why your government has a treaty with us. And that's why, whenever you see a saucer and you report it, our government just says, oh, it's a weather balloon. And they don't mind if we abduct you. It's for your benefit. Where on the other hand, 11 months later at Caspiar Yar, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is the Russian equivalent to the Roswell Air Force Base or Air Base. It was the top secret rocket base at the time. Same incident, same kind of craft, 3 aliens aboard, 2 dead, 1 alive. Our guy got out of the ship. You know what the Russians did? They filled him full of holes. And that's why we don't talk to them. And they know that we have an alliance with the United States government, or at least parts of it. And that's why they don't like us. We're not welcome there.
Very good.
And you can even find KGB documents where they are legitimately concerned about us.
No, that's fascinating. Mad Ginger, I'd give a gray lady a black-eyed child.
And I bet she'd love it.
Red roses for a blue lady, black-eyed children for a gray lady. Mad Ginger, I am compelled to yak at tofu. Oh, you no care for tofu. I can't eat tofu.
We avoid anything with soy in it. No soy.
Soy drives me crazy in more ways than one. And that's not a joke.
Okay, let's see.
Owen says he's never had tofu. John Stephen Walsh, what are the Greys doing in Seattle? Why do you hate us?
Well, we've only abducted some people from Seattle. We didn't do anything. What?
No, this shit show is all on our species, sadly. Underworld Dream. There was a comedy sci-fi movie about aliens, and the running gag is that everyone that has sex with aliens claims their alien penises are curved like the space-time continuum.
No comment.
I'm just thinking of Doctor Who in that it's bigger on the inside. Stephen Walls, chop equals gray and lizard.
I don't trust lizards.
No. Mad Ginger says, isn't tofu soy? Yes. Yes, it is. It is soybeans. Fermented soybeans.
Apparently in Japan, tofu is considered a delicacy. They really like it.
Well, it's more than a delicacy. It's a staple. It's there is not a household that does not have tofu. It is the thing that everybody has. It's just like rice. And not only that, there are kits, which I would love to do just to say that I did it, that are very cheap where you can make your own tofu. And it's very easy, apparently. It's just it requires soy. I can't have soy. Fuck. I actually miss tofu.
Do you want to explain why, or?
Soy makes me crazy. Literally. I have an allergy to it. It throws off my chemical balances, and it's the fact that it's an
Estrogen mimic.
Yeah, it's an estrogen mimic. It throws me thoroughly off, and it's very bad. What do you have? Oh, Mad Ginger. It's well known Asians had hundreds of years to gain immunity from soy products, unlike the current Zoomers. Indeed.
Yeah, and the other thing is that a lot of those soy boys didn't have much testosterone to begin with, so tipping the balance was just a terrible idea.
Indeed. Oh, excuse me. Stephen Walsh. Extra was a documentary about evil alien children. You should see it.
The clips I've seen of that film are super disturbing, and I remember that Red Letter Media was reviewing it, and the review itself disturbed you so much we had to stop it.
Yeah.
But I still want to see the film.
I do not. You can see it without me. Owen, Michael Jackson was a ghoul. I'll never look at Thriller the same way again.
Well.
Yeah.
So you just took the makeup off, and there you go.
There you go.
That's actually him out of makeup.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Panda power. I'm always telling people ghouls aren't zombies. You can possibly reason with a ghoul to not eat you. That is very true. You can.
Well, ghouls don't eat living flesh, right?
Depends.
Depends on the legend.
Yeah.
She's more the expert on the supernatural shit, man.
Yeah, depends on the legend. I mean, for the most part, again, ghouls are like vampires, which is, are you dealing with supernatural ghouls or are you dealing with scientific ghouls? Scientific ghouls are closer to the ones that you see in Fallout, where they had been real people, and it's not that they didn't die. It's not that they didn't die in something cataclysmic. It's that they didn't die. You know, they just aged and just kept on going. I suppose you could also argue that Lovecraft, though it's not the story, Lovecraft's story of the guy who was living in the freezer.
Cool air.
Yeah.
No, he was a scientific ghoul.
Yeah. So it's not that.
And by the way, if none of you have read that story, I would say that's one of Lovecraft's best stories. Frankly, his shorter stories were always better than his long stories because he tended to ramble on. Cool Air was about a scientist who had perfected immortality, but essentially he was dead, and he was trying to fix it so that essentially he could not leave his air-conditioned room for fear of rotting.
Mm-hmm. And to me, Cool Air is actually the only one of Lovecraft's stories that legitimately disturbs me.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because you can't go back from rotting. You know, you're stuck that way. You're a prisoner forever. And then that, calls upon the question of, as your brain starts rotting, does your brain start rotting? I mean, like, do you start losing your mental faculties? What happens when, you're just a...
So what you're saying is the story would have even been more effective if it had been told first person.
Yeah. Yeah, but Lovecraft never told anything from
first
person.
all of Lovecraft's stories were taken. He didn't use the wording; he used a different word for it. But essentially, he said that all horror stories, all effective horror stories should have all the trademarks of a good hoax, aka a good urban legend.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he always wanted it to be told as if, well, this thing happened.
Well, see, a friend of a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the campfire story that, and that is a tried and true trope of horror. I mean, how many of us grew up with the scary stories you tell in the dark books? And yes, you could read the books on your own just fine, but they were so much better if you had somebody else reading them to you.
So essentially, aside from Fahrenheit 451, everything Bradbury ever wrote should be read to you like a campfire story.
I'm going to be blasphemous. Other than Fahrenheit, I have not been able to get through one of Bradbury's books. Now, I know that
most of them were aimed for young adults. That's true.
Yeah, and well, now I understand he was also writing for a different time period and a different type of younger child, but all of the ones that I read, I always felt like he, not on purpose, but he was talking down to me. Like, he didn't know how to write a story for a child or for a younger person, and so was trying his damnedest. And it's not his fault. It's just he didn't know how to write for kids. And so
I believe he always wrote, aside from Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
He always wrote from the perspective that he was the guy leaning over the fire trying to scare the children with the story.
And I never got that. I always felt like I was being pandered to. I mean, it wasn't on the level of A Wrinkle in Time. God, I hated that book series. I despised every turn of the page, and it wasn't bad enough that I wanted to throw it into the fire, but it pissed me off that I felt like they thought I was an idiot and didn't understand how math worked. It wasn't on that level, but it was the same type of pandering.
My feeling was Wrinkle in Time was a constant, look how clever I am.
Yeah, and that you're a child and you're an idiot.
So Mad Ginger is a question.
Mad Ginger, to Panda, can you talk a zombie out of eating you?
Well, can you?
Well, he's asking Panda.
Oh,
The answer is no, you can't. The whole point of zombies, you know, whether it's sci-fi zombies, whether it's rage zombies, whether it's paranormal zombies, the whole point of a zombie is that it is the animal inside us incarnate. You cannot talk them out of anything. You have more chance of talking a rabid dog out of not biting you than you do a zombie.
so essentially everything in the chop in Seattle. Everybody in there is a zombie.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Underworld Dream. There's a documentary on the guy who had sex with aliens. Last time I checked, it was free on Tubi.
Watch it. It is a great documentary. It is a little sad, but it's also hilarious.
Is it just as sad as the kid who went to the UFO convention because he really wanted to be abducted by aliens and he wanted to find out how best to attract them to his bedroom?
No, that's just tragic. That was an autist who really needed a friend.
Other than his hand.
Yeah. This is a bit different. This is a man who has issues, possibly schizophrenic.
No, I meant the caliber of hilarity and sadness.
No, the autist who wanted to be abducted, that's funnier. This is a bit more tragic, but it's fascinating. This whole guy's story, his life, his paintings.
Cool.
The people in his life who he's shared this with.
Panda Power. Y'all should look up my dad's hometown, Harlem, Kentucky. That town is haunted as hell. They got demon children, panthers, a white thing that haunts railroad tracks, and other crazy crap. I am so there.
Sounds like a place for you to take a vacation.
Yeah, I bet I probably know some of the stories out of there. I got to check that out. Thank you. Harlem, Kentucky. Got it.
We are actually thinking about taking this show on the road and doing some field trip shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that Arizona is opened back up, yeah, we want to get out and about and actually explore the state like we had planned to do when we first moved here, but we're not able to. On the other hand, it's hot now. We may want to wait till...
Well, keep in mind the location that Travis Walton was abducted from, Snowflake, Arizona, is not too far from here.
Yes, but there are fires right now.
Oh, yeah, it's on fire right now.
Apparently there are 10 big fires in the U.S. and 6 out of those are in the state.
Yeah, but those are all locations that catch fire yearly, kind of. They're typical burns.
No, they're not.
Really?
No, they're not.
Oh, is it because it's been extra dry?
Yeah, it's been extra dry. No, I saw on the news this morning.
No, Snowflake actually is prone to fires yearly. It's just one of those locations. It's a forest.
Oh, okay.
So it has yearly fires.
Oh, got it.
And actually, Travis Walton's job was...
He was a logger, right?
Yeah, well, he was cutting... He was clearing the woods to prevent fires.
Is this up near Flagstaff, or is this up near Prescott?
Oh, I'd have to check. To be sure. But then there's another location in the state we also want to go to.
Yes, there is. And we will leave that a mystery. Because if we told you, you that might give it away. Elton, seems like one of you Grays experimenting in some Brazilian, I can't read, in the past with burning stuff. If you wanted our churrasco, you just needed to ask, not to make us into steaks.
You know, the thing is, Brazil has a really interesting and rich history of UFOs.
They do. And cryptids.
And they're unique. I mean, it's some of the gray stuff has gotten down. You know, there's some gray stories, but the first known reported encounter with a tall white was in Brazil.
Was it?
A Brazilian farmer.
Well, you know, let's face it. You look at Brazilian women, you know, if you saw one of them walking onto your farm, you know.
But he wasn't like, they always played him off to be a hick. He actually was a very educated man. He became a lawyer afterwards. He owned the farm, but he also worked, he was out there working with the fields at the time with his tractor at night. Cool. There have been multiple sightings that are, again, all very unique. and have their own kind of story to them. There's a few locations that are like to this day prone to having regular saucer sightings.
That's interesting.
Yeah, actually, you could do an entire show on Brazil alone of just the whole history. And by the way, the encounter where the man, oh, I think it's Villalobos, I think I'm probably butchering his name, preceded the Betty and Barney Hill case.
Really?
At least, yeah, I think either it preceded it by, I think, a year, or yeah, I think so. I could be wrong, but I believe it preceded it by a year or two, and is the
Interesting.
actual first true known abduction case in the modern era. But the Hill case was the first one to be known because it was in the United States, major media, where the Villalobos case, Brazil, a farm, it took a long time to kind of get out there.
Mhm.
And he apparently kept quiet for a long time. Another interesting thing about that specific case is that's another one where there is some real documentation about it that makes it questionable. I mean, usually these abduction cases, there is zero evidence left behind. He had radiation poisoning. The area where he said the saucer set down was mildly radioactive, and it shouldn't have been. He did end up forming some bizarre blister patterns and wounds after the fact that could not be explained and were well documented medically. So it's an interesting case, and when I've got the human suit on, I could give you my skeptic's opinion of what happened. But for now, we'll just say it's actually one of the most believable, strange as it is.
Cool.
Um,
Underworld Dream. Ghouls are more of people who eat dead human bodies and in turn become degenerate. They're not really dead. A real life example would be in World War II Russia, where the serf turn into cannibals that eat the dead. Correct. In fact, that is believed to be where a lot of ghoul legends came from, was people who were really fucking desperate for food were raiding graveyards for fresh graves because they knew that the meat hadn't rotted yet.
Owen's got one.
Owen, you wouldn't get much in Ohio, unfortunately. It's kind of dull here, except for the fact that Superman was first written in Cleveland. But other than that, nothing. Oh. LK, I was pursuing Tubby yesterday. Marathoned an interesting anime I found. Girl finds a mirror, and another girl walks through and gives her a charm that allows her to summon the spirit of various jinn. Whoa.
A little bit like Mirror Mirror, huh?
Yeah.
Which is a horribly underrated film.
Extremely underrated film.
All right. Oh, there's another
Wolf
one.
10. What about Wendigo? Wendigo.
That's you racist. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that would be a good one. You're kind of into that, right?
Wendigos, yeah.
The Wendigo story.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love the Wendigo story.
All right. Well, I think we'll do this one and then end the show.
Cooper Clark. Are ley lines actually supernatural, and do they attract weird things to them?
They're dimensional portholes.
What, where they intersect?
Yes. Haven't you played the game Rifts?
Oh, shit.
All right. Well, I'm going to call that a night. We would go longer, but I think both of us are incredibly exhausted.
I'm still recovering from my trip.
Send your questions if you want to. Just send questions. We like questions. I thought
questions.
Those were very strange questions, but I enjoyed them.
Yeah, put them in
Don't
the
know
comments.
why anyone would accuse my people of creating AIDS.
Put them in the comments section of the show. Send it to us. You can either hit us up at Ishi at J Ishiro.
No, it's just J Ishiro, J _Ishiro at Glitchwork.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I meant at your Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at J _Ishiro, or me, it's cat _AiA on Twitter. And Cooper Clark, what about the family?
All right. We would go longer, but we're both exhausted.
Yes, thank you all very much for joining us again
And-
for Ishi's Great Big Alien
Yes,
Show.
and send show topics because this was a show topic somebody recommended.
We really need to get you a theremin theme song. We really do.
All right. Nighty night, you guys.
Night, everybody.